Here are the great comments from the previous video. Thank you everyone for the interesting opinions on this topic. I truly appreciate your contributions. If you have any great thoughts about this video, feel free to leave a comment. I will select the best comments and include them in the next video. Thank you for always supporting and being with the channel. What if the king of Can't Stop, Won't Stop finally hit a wall he couldn't dance around? One moment, he's the architect of hip-hop's flashiest dynasty. The next, the lights snap on and a single keystroke freezes $500 million in silent, swirling Bitcoin. The room where it happened? Nowhere near a studio. It was a federal war room. The night the raids landed felt unreal, like someone had yanked the bass out of the track of Diddy's life. Sirens washed over the manicured palms of his Miami fortress, while agents in plain navy jackets filed past the koi ponds and gold leaf gates. Inside, walls once primed for champagne toasts echoed with the click of hard drives slipping into evidence bags. Rumors had buzzed for years. Heady parties, whispered NDAs, money moving faster than beats per minute. But nothing prepared anyone for the spectacle of federal forensics syncing up laptops beside platinum plaques. When investigators traced an unregistered crypto wallet brimming with roughly $500 million in Bitcoin, jaws dropped from Wall Street to South Beach. Overnight, the myth of untouchable celebrity power cracked like vinyl in the sun. Yet that discovery was only the first verse in a much darker track, because behind the flashing lights and confiscated ledgers lay a deeper question. How many lives and secrets were powdered into the mortar of this empire? And who would pay once the music stopped? Keep listening. The next beat hits harder than the last. Kingmaker to Kingpin. He started on West 145th Street hustling mixtapes from car trunks. A skinny kid named Sean who could read a room the way a DJ reads BPM. By 24, he'd flipped that instinct into Bad Boy Records, launching Biggie, Mace, and a new East Coast swagger that sprayed platinum like confetti. The public narrative was textbook: self-made mogul, Fashion Week darling, marathon charity dancer, proof that hustle could outrun hardship. But insiders whisper a second story, one written in Velvet Road backrooms where invitations arrived with non-disclosure clauses and consent bracelets glowed under black light. Rumors suggest those Harlem basement parties never really ended. They just moved uptown, leveling up with every liquor sponsorship and cable network deal. By the time Forbes anointed him hip-hop's first billionaire in waiting, he'd morphed into a one-man conglomerate. Music, vodka, clothing, reality TV, each venture polishing the mythology of generosity while masking an appetite for absolute control. Meanwhile, staffers claimed you could clock a person's rank in the crew by how fast their phone got taped at the door. Philanthropy galas raised millions for education, yet whispers floated that the same jets delivering scholarship checks also ferried crates of Cristal for afterglows where cameras were forbidden and silence was golden. To the world, he embodied the American dream. To those who serviced that dream, he was the gatekeeper of a kingdom built on secrecy. Those early murmurs were easy to ignore, until 2023, when one voice dared to break the beat and the entire soundstage started to shake. Lawsuit avalanche. It took just one filing to crack the dam. In November 2023, singer-model Cassie Ventura sued Combs for years of manipulation, violence, and forced after-parties that sounded more like hostage situations than Hollywood soirees. Within 24 hours, the case settled for an undisclosed sum, but the silence purchase backfired. The payout confirmed suspicion. This mogul didn't negotiate, he neutralized. Suddenly, 40 more civil complaints surfaced, then 20, then 18. 78 in all, stretching from California to New York. Each story differed in detail, yet rhymed in rhythm. Surprise invitations, confiscated phones, rules about eye contact, an omnipresent security team called The Circle, and cash wire transfers labeled wellness stipend landing in victims' accounts days later. One plaintiff alleged she'd been offered a lifetime NDA package, luxury condo, monthly allowance if she vanished from social media forever. Another produced emails where assistants debated whether bruises could be covered with contour makeup before a paparazzi stroll. Combs's attorneys called it gold digging on a grand scale, but the numbers argued otherwise. State AGs opened parallel probes. 2 grand juries quietly convened. Civil rights lawyers compared the pattern to organized crime: recruit, isolate, exploit, pay off, erase. Leaked spreadsheets hinted at a standing budget for satellite witness protocol, code for hush payments routed through shell LLCs in Delaware and Dubai. Insurance carriers balked at covering settlements. Brand partners yanked endorsements. Streaming playlists saw his tracks quietly delisted. The empire's outer walls were still glossing, yet hairline fractures were spreading like a spider web. And while the lawsuits clogged dockets, a different set of eyes, federal, relentless, patient, was tracing money rather than memories. Agents mapped flight logs, subpoenaed crypto exchanges, and waited for the perfect moment to strike the physical heart of the operation. That moment arrived before dawn on March 25, 2024.
The Dawn Raids. They hit before sunrise when even South Beach sleeps. The first team glided through the wrought iron gates of Diddy's Star Island Palace, silencers on flashlights, body cams blinking red. A second squad breached the Bel Air glass box, fanning across marble hallways in perfect formation. Neighbors woke to helicopters hanging just outside FAA limits. Dogs barked, drones buzzed, camera lenses peeked from every hibiscus hedge. Inside, the myth of invincibility crumbled fast. Bedroom doors swung open to closets of velvet tuxedos, and, tucked behind garment bags, AR-15 uppers still shrink-wrapped. In a mirrored dressing room, agents pried 6 trunks marked archives. One burst at the hinges, vintage camcorders, DV tapes, trays of burner phones labeled by year. Downstairs, a climate-controlled wine vault revealed rows of designer pill bottles, cataloged like a pharmacist's dream. Agents unearthed a hidden panic room, suede lined with a biometric lock that failed under a drill. Inside sat a table set for 4, champagne flute sticky beside a shredder overflowing with half-burned NDAs. But the real shock waited in the studio wing. Racks of custom servers, humming under violet LEDs, fed fiber cables that disappeared into a private theater. Monitors scrolled live code, bots shuffling crypto through mixers every 20 minutes. One agent muttered, "Money laundromat." Across the continent in LA, another team cracked a teak credenza to find a black-on-black ledger, dates, initials, wire amounts, destination nodes, all in neat fountain pen script. Beside it lay a gold USB engraved "Witness Vault," prosecutors would later claim. By dawn, 15 terabytes of data, 24 firearm parts, 43 hard drives, and enough couture to clothe a runway were boxed and tagged. The spotlight was still warm, but the curtain had already fallen. And back at the forensic lab, a single anomaly blinked on screen. An offshore wallet pulsing with $500 million in silent Bitcoin.
Money maze exposed. When investigators drilled into the confiscated servers, numbers spun like a slot machine stuck on jackpots. A single wallet address, 26 random characters of cold storage code, had sucked in $500 million worth of Bitcoin over 3 years. No exchange logs, no KYC trail. Each deposit atomized through mixers from Estonia to Singapore, then funneled back into shell companies with names as bland as Urban Reinvest Holdings, LLC. The FBI's cyber forensics squad reverse-engineered the hops and discovered the crypto later resurfaced as consulting retainers for entities that existed only on paper. FinCEN red flag reports read like spy thrillers. Art bought at triple market price in Basel flipped at a quiet Monaco salon the same week a civil suit was dismissed. A Cayman Islands trust acquiring a Bahamian beachfront safe house 48 hours after an accuser vanished from social media. Digging deeper, IRS analysts matched ledger snippets to real-world luxuries, an $86 million trove of unregistered Basquiats locked in a Manhattan vault, and a 164-foot superyacht owned by a Vanuatu shell labeled Wellness Outreach. Even philanthropy was weaponized. Millions earmarked for urban art scholarships were rerouted to a Delaware fund called Satellite Witness Protocol Phase 2, dispersing hush payments in stablecoins disguised as marketing grants. Prosecutors framed the pattern as economic engineering. Every accusation met with a carefully priced silence, every payout laundered through a fresh alias. Rumors suggest at least 11 recipients of these crypto gifts deleted their online footprints within days, relocating across borders under new passports. On paper, Diddy's empire looked diversified and generous. On-chain, it pulsed like a shadow bank designed to buy amnesia. Yet, for all the clever laundering, one loose bite cracked the maze. The half-billion wallet now frozen by court order. And if that ledger was just the overture, the evidence waiting in the vault files promised a chorus of revelations no remix could mute.
Behind the velvet curtain, the public saw champagne towers and neon lights. Survivors described something closer to ritual. One witness, her identity shielded, told jurors about freak-off Fridays, invite-only gatherings where phones vanished into velvet pouches and contracts thicker than menus demanded lifetime silence. Guests signed under flickering candles, then followed robed handlers through hallways scented with oud and paranoia. Rumors suggest entry bracelets change color if someone stepped out of line, a silent signal to security called the Circle. Men in tailored suits who spoke in earpiece code and never blinked on camera. Inside, liquor flowed, but control stayed ice cold. Victims testified to mood playlists, calibrated like psychological traps. Slow bass to lower guard, trap beats to spike adrenaline, ambient drones when the real coercion began. One described a hidden mezzanine with one-way glass, where Combs allegedly watched incidents unfold, logging timestamps into an iPad later labeled Memories. Another recalled being offered a diamond tennis bracelet the morning after, along with the pre-drafted caption for her Instagram, "Blessed night with the fam." Non-disclosure agreements weren't mere paperwork, they were currency. A former payroll manager swore under oath that every hush contract had a sliding scale. 6 figures for social posts deleted, 7 for medical bills covered, 8 for total disappearance. Those who refused found sudden eviction notices, frozen bank cards, or vanishing gig offers. He didn't ruin careers, he pressed mute on lives. The prosecution's secret weapon? Grainy surveillance clips leaked from the Miami raid. VIPs lining hallways, Combs whispering to security, a duffel bag exchanged for a USB. The footage is sealed for now, but its mere existence rattled the courtroom. Because if these were only highlights, the uncut vault files, encrypted and still unopened, might expose a blueprint of control no NDA can bury.
The Vault Files. The government's biggest trophy wasn't the superyacht or the Basquiats. It was a matte black server rack exhumed from a pressure-sealed chamber beneath the Miami mansion. Agents nicknamed it Sanctuary because every drive inside wore a label that read Sanctuary Mode, Active. Crack it, they said, and you crack the empire. Early forensic peeks revealed a labyrinth of nested folders, echo layer, reset accounts, witness grid, each protected by triple encryption and biometric keys tied to Combs' retina scan. Rumors suggest the top directory held a live dashboard of every silent payout, name, alias, amount,
risk rating, and a color code marking whether the target was merely quiet, partially compliant, or gone dark. Below that, investigators found what looked like minute-by-minute event logs, playlists queued, security rotations swapped, valet tips dispensed down to the dollar. One entry allegedly reads, 2:47 a.m., stage shift to bliss lighting, memory devices secured. Chilling because it implies pre-planned choreography of both mood and memory. But the most explosive fragment so far is a set of voice memos, autocorrect transcripts, stamped with dates. One line has already leaked. If the ledger leaks, flood the city with charity. Prosecutors frame it as proof that the philanthropy was never kindness, it was camouflage. Reports claim another memo mentions Phase 4 noise control, the same phrase that appeared in the seized strategy document. Connecting those dots could turn an alleged pattern into an undeniable roadmap. Decrypting petabytes isn't quick, and the Cyber Lab works around the clock under armed guard. Yet every new layer unlocked feeds a rumor mill on fire. Unreleased footage, DNA-coded hard drives, even a subfolder titled Ghost Choir that insiders believe might house raw audio from security feeds. Whether fact or myth, one truth stands. Once Sanctuary's gates swing fully open, whatever escapes will echo far beyond a courtroom, and no playlist in the world can drown that sound. Spin, collapse, and the sudden roar of silence. When the raids aired on morning shows, Combs's crisis team hit play on a script they'd rehearsed for years. Out rolled the talking points: political witch hunt, selective enforcement, committed to healing. But the audience had changed. Within 48 hours, #MuteDiddy trended on every platform. Fan edits of Bad Boy for Life morphed into memes about orange jumpsuits. Brand partners felt the heat first. Ciroc paused ads, Revolt's board scheduled an emergency session, and a luxury watch deal worth 8 figures evaporated before lunchtime. Streaming numbers nosedived in real time. Spotify down 27%, Apple Music yanking his face from curated playlists. Forbes, which once crowned him hip-hop's next billionaire, slashed its net worth estimate in half, then appended the word pending forfeiture. PR Flax tried a charity pivot, announcing a $1 million donation to urban music programs. Twitter sleuths traced the pledge to the same Delaware shell now frozen under satellite witness protocol. The attempt at goodwill ricocheted into rage. A former intern posted screenshots of emails instructing staff to boost community healing optics if negative headlines spiked above 50 per hour. Within minutes, the receipts went viral. Inside the camp, executives ghosted each other, anxious to avoid subpoenas. Venture partners demanded indemnity clauses or walked. One hedge fund manager reportedly dubbed Bad Boy a radioactive asset with a beat. Meanwhile, civil plaintiffs used the momentum to file a joint RICO motion, arguing the brand itself functioned as a criminal enterprise. Analysts warn that if the court agrees, every royalty check from 90s classics could be rerouted to restitution. By week's end, the silence Combs once purchased now encircled him. No red carpet invites, no late-night calls, only the hum of FBI servers decrypting his empire. Yet the loudest moment still looms, a 12-person jury waiting behind sealed doors, and a verdict clock that refuses to stop ticking.
Countdown to judgment. He will hear the verdict in the same courthouse where jazz greats once played charity galas for his foundations. A symmetry too cruel to script. If the jury returns guilty on trafficking and racketeering, sentencing guidelines whisper 15 to life. Longer if the asset laundering counts stick. Court watchers predict a second phase devoted solely to forfeiture, with prosecutors already drafting lists that read like Sotheby's catalogs. Penthouses, yachts, a vodka empire, and that cavernous music catalog itself. Some insiders joke the sentencing memo is already longer than his discography. The catalog is the wild card. Creditors crave it, plaintiffs demand it, and hip-hop purists dread a fire sale that splinters classics across hedge fund playlists. Rumors suggest two private equity groups hover, ready to scoop the masters the moment a judge signs the forfeiture order. If that happens, every note of Mo Money, Mo Problems could bankroll survivor restitution instead of streaming dividends, a poetic inversion of wealth once weaponized to buy silence. Meanwhile, ex-associates weigh plea deals, fearful their email chains appear in the still decrypting Sanctuary Drive. Brands purge decades of glossy photos. Radio DJs wonder aloud whether spinning "I'll Be Missing You Now" feels like complicity. But victims, newly audible, tell reporters they're less interested in prison time than in finally being believed. One survivor summed it up outside the courthouse: money fades, truth doesn't. So the countdown continues. 12 jurors, 1 gavel, and an empire suspended between legend and liability. When that gavel drops, it won't just close a case. It will echo through record labels, charity boards, and VIP lounges, shaking every door once held shut by fear and cash. The beat that made a generation dance may end with a single unforgiving thud, and the soundtrack of an era will rewrite itself in the silence that follows.